Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Let's do it.
Today we're going to tackle something that I think everyone has struggled with at some point. Heating systems.
Yeah, those things can be tricky.
Right, especially during those freezing winter months. You know what I'm talking about? Uneven room temperatures, those mysterious noises, and those energy bills that just skyrocket.
Definitely. We've got a ton of great sources here.
Let's
Articles, research, you name it.
Awesome. So let's start with that super annoying uneven heating issue.
Mm.
One room's a sauna, then the next one feels like an ice box.
Ugh, it's the worst. And you know one of the biggest culprits? Leaky ductwork.
Leaky ductwork.
Really? Yeah, and it's a bigger deal than you might think. I was reading an Energy Star study, and they found that leaky ducts can waste like 30% of your heated air.
30%? That's insane. So basically, we're just throwing money away.
Pretty much. All that warm air is escaping through cracks and holes. Just picture dollar bills flying out the window.
Okay, so how do we even know if our ducts are leaking?
Well, there are some signs you can look out for. Like you said, those rooms with totally different temperatures, or if your energy bills are suddenly through the roof and you have no idea why.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So can we just patch those leaks up ourselves, or do we need to call in a professional?
There are a few DIY things you can try for small leaks, but honestly, it's always best to get an HVAC technician to check it out.
Yeah, I guess it's better to be safe than sorry, right?
Oh.
Wouldn't want to make things worse.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about leaky ducts, but what happens when your entire heating system just decides to quit on you?
Oh, man, talk about a nightmare, especially when it's freezing outside. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it comes down to the pilot light or the ignition
Huh.
system.
Okay, so those are pretty important, huh?
Oh, they're essential. They're like the heart of your gas heating system. The pilot light is that tiny flame that's always burning and ready to kick in when you need heat.
Okay, got it.
And the electronic ignition is basically like a spark plug for your furnace. It uses an electric spark to light the burners.
Interesting. So what kinds of problems can happen with those systems?
Well, with pilot lights, sometimes they get clogged with dust and stuff, so they can't light properly. And with electronic systems, you could have issues with the sensors, wiring, all kinds of things.
So it's like anything else, right?
Yeah.
Got to keep things clean and maintained.
Exactly. Think of it like taking your car in for a tune-up. Regular maintenance is key to keeping your heating system running smoothly.
Makes sense. And speaking of maintenance, our sources really emphasize the importance of changing those air filters.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Air filters are like the lungs of your heating system. They trap all that dust and dirt that can really clog things up.
So how often should we be changing those filters?
The general rule is every 2-3 months, but if you have pets or you live in a dusty area, you might need to change them even more often.
Gotcha. I'll have to make a note of that. Okay, now let's talk about those energy bills because those can really be a pain, especially in the winter.
Definitely. It's like you open that bill and you're instantly hit with sticker shock.
For real.
Yeah.
So what can we do to keep those bills under control?
Well, we've already talked about dirty air filters, but another big one is the thermostat settings. A lot of people just crank up the heat way too high.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. So what's the ideal temperature?
The Department of Energy recommends 68 degrees when you're home and awake.
68? That seems kind of chilly.
I know it might sound that way, but trust me, you get used to it. You can always layer up with sweaters and blankets too.
All right, fair enough. Any other thermostat tips?
Programmable thermostats are awesome. You can set them to automatically lower the temp at night or when you're not home.
So you're not wasting energy heating an empty house.
Exactly. Plus, there are smart thermostats now that can even learn your preferences and adjust the temp for you.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Have to look into those. So we've covered leaky ducts, furnace issues, air filters, and thermostats. What else do we need to know?
Well, we've all heard those weird noises that heating systems can make, right?
Yeah, like sometimes my furnace sounds like it's about to explode.
Right. Well, those noises aren't just annoying. They can actually tell you a lot about what's wrong.
Really? So they're like clues.
Exactly. It could
Wow.
be loose parts, airflow problems, worn out components, all sorts of things.
So basically, if you hear a strange noise, don't ignore it.
Exactly. It's like a check engine light in your car. It's trying to tell you something's up.
Got it. So we've learned how to decipher those heating system noises and keep those pilot lights burning bright. But there's one more thing we need to discuss. Short cycling. What is that exactly?
It's when your heating system is constantly turning on and off.
So like it's having a mini panic attack.
Pretty much. And it's not good for your system. It can wear it down quickly and make it less efficient.
So what causes short cycling?
Well, those pesky air filters can be a culprit again,
Mm-hmm.
but a malfunctioning thermostat can also cause it. And get this, Sometimes it's because your heating system is too big for your house.
Wait, what? Too big? How is that possible?
It sounds counterintuitive, right? But if your system is too powerful, it heats the space up too quickly and then shuts off.
Oh, I see. So it's like a heating system on overdrive.
Exactly. It's constantly turning on and off, which is what causes that short cycling.
Wow, I never would have guessed that.
Well,
I think we've covered a ton of ground today. I feel like a heating system pro now.
that's great to hear. But there's more to come. We'll be back after a quick break to discuss proactive winter preparation and how to really fortify your home against the cold. All right, so before we jump to break, we were talking about all those annoying heating problems that seem to pop up every winter.
Yeah, like it's not enough that it's freezing outside, our heating systems have to decide to act up too.
Right, but now let's talk about how to prevent those problems in the first place.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Being proactive is always better than dealing with a heating emergency.
Exactly. And one of the simplest things you can do is seal up any gaps or cracks around your house.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I used to live in this old apartment that was so drafty, I swear I could feel the wind blowing through the walls.
Mm. It's amazing how much those little gaps can affect your energy bills. The Department of Energy says air leakage can account for like 30% of heating and cooling losses.
Wow, 30%, that's a lot. So how do we seal up those gaps?
Weather stripping and caulk are your best friends. Weather stripping is great for doors and windows, and caulk is perfect for those little cracks and gaps in your walls or around pipes.
So basically, we're trying to make our homes airtight.
Pretty much. Think of it like winterizing a boat. You want to make sure there are no leaks that can let the cold air in.
I love that analogy. Okay, what else can we do?
Insulation is super important too. It's like a warm blanket for your house, trapping all that heat inside.
So where should we focus on insulating? Is it mainly the attic, or are there other areas we should be thinking about?
The attic is definitely important, but don't forget about your walls, floors, and crawl spaces too.
Got it. Insulation check. Okay, what about fireplaces? I know a lot of people have them.
Yeah, if you have a fireplace, make sure you get your chimney inspected and cleaned regularly.
Oh, right, because of creosote buildup.
Exactly. Creosote is super flammable, so you definitely don't want that stuff building up in your chimney.
Makes sense. Safety first.
Huh?
Okay, so we've talked about ceiling gaps, insulation, and chimney maintenance. What else is on our winter prep list?
Well, we touched on programmable thermostats earlier, but did you know there are also smart thermostats now?
Smart thermostats. What are those?
They're like programmable thermostats on steroids. They learn your heating habits and adjust the temperature automatically.
Whoa, that's cool. So they're like super energy efficient.
Totally. Some of them can even connect to your smartphone so you can control your heating from anywhere.
Wow, technology is amazing. Okay, so aside from the heating system itself, is there anything else we should be doing to get our homes ready for winter?
Don't forget about your plumbing. Frozen pipes can be a disaster.
Ugh, yeah, I've heard horror stories about burst pipes, so how do we prevent that from happening?
Make sure you insulate any exposed pipes, especially in unheated areas like basements or crawl spaces.
Good point. I'll definitely add that to my to-do list. Anything else?
Oh, and remember to disconnect and drain your outdoor hoses and irrigation systems before winter hits.
Right, because any water left in there could freeze and damage the pipes.
Exactly. It's like putting your garden to bed for the winter.
I like that. Well, I think we've covered just about everything. I feel like I'm ready to take on winter now.
That's great. And remember, a little preparation goes a long way. By taking some simple steps now, you can avoid a lot of headaches later.
True that. And we'll be back in just a bit to wrap things up and share some final thoughts on keeping your home warm and cozy all season long. And we're back. Man, we've covered a lot of ground today, from leaky ducts to smart thermostats. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been a pretty expensive deep dive, but hopefully our listeners are feeling more prepared for winter now.
Absolutely. I know I am. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is that even small things like changing air filters can make a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And we also busted that myth about bigger heating systems always being better.
Right. It turns out they can actually be less efficient and cause all sorts of problems.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the importance of being proactive.
Yes. Sealing gaps, insulating pipes, checking your chimney. It's all about staying ahead of those potential problems.
And who knew technology could play such a big role in keeping our homes warm and cozy? Those smart thermostats are pretty impressive.
They really are. It's like having a personal heating butler. So as we wrap things up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Don't wait until you're freezing your butt off to deal with heating issues. Be proactive. Pay attention to those weird noises, get regular maintenance checks, and take the time to properly winterize your home.
Great advice. It's all about being prepared and taking control of your home's heating. So before we go, we want to leave you with one last question to think about. What's one small step you can take today to make sure your home stays warm and comfy all winter long?
Maybe it's finally changing that air filter, or maybe it's looking into a programmable thermostat. Whatever it is, take action and be ready for whatever winter throws your way.
Well said. We've had a blast diving deep into this topic with you all, and we hope you've learned a few things along the way. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to keeping your home warm and toasty during those chilly months. Until next time, stay warm, stay curious, and keep